Hello, welcome to another chess video tutorial by Coach Dad, and today I am going to teach you about algebraic chess notations. Algebraic chess notations is one of the most universal ways that chess players can notate their moves. They can record their moves on the chessboard and then be able to replay it later if they want to analyze the game. This is a universal way of understanding where the chess pieces move on the chessboard if you're trying to write down and record moves, rather than writing out long paragraphs about writing down pieces and which square they move to. You can just simply use these certain codes or these certain abbreviations that will be able to record the chess moves. If you want to learn more about chess and you want to read chess books, most chess books will utilize the algebraic chess notations in order for you to kind of see how the pieces move on the chessboard. The first thing that we have to understand is that every single square on the chessboard has a name. Therefore, if you're looking at all the vertical columns on the chessboard, there are letters here at the bottom that will tell you what letter they are. So in this column right here, we have A, we have C, we have F. Now, if you're looking from left to right or horizontally on each row, you're looking at the numbers. Therefore, you have 2 right here, you have 5, and you have even 8 all the way on the top. Now, if you combine the 2 together, you'll get the name of the square. Here, we'll have E4. And the way that you write E4 in algebraic chess notations is by going the lowercase and then the number E4. As you can see right here on the right hand side, I wrote down E4 for this chess square right here. Another square that we'll probably go with is probably G6. If we're looking again, we are looking at G and we are looking at 6, and this combines the 2 together, so therefore you're going to get G6, and it's going to be depicted with, again, with a lowercase letter and a number. That's how you name a square on the chessboard. Next, we have to know the names of the pieces. Each piece will have its own abbreviation in the algebraic chess notation world, where the king is going to be a capital K, a queen is going to be capital Q, the knight is going to be a capital N because the capital K is already taken by the king, the bishop is going to be a capital B, the rook is going to be capital R, and you might think that the pawn might be a capital P, but actually the pawn will just be the name of the square. And I will explain to you how it's going to be recorded when a pawn moves. I'm going to show you a couple examples right here about how moves are recorded in algebraic chess notations. Here's an example that I'm going to show you. If I want the rook to move to A4 right here to this square, what I will have to write is capital R, lowercase a, and 4. Again, capital R, lowercase a, and 4. This recording right here will simply show you that this rook is moving to A4. And the reason why is because this is the only rook that can move to A4. You might be wondering, how come this rook can't move to A4? Because this rook cannot jump from all the way over here to A4. We know that white has only one rook that can move to A4, and it's only going to be this one right here. Another example I'm going to show you right here is if this knight moves to C3. I will write capital N, lowercase c, and then the number 3. That's the only knight that can go to this square, so therefore I know that this knight right here is the only knight that can move to this square to C3. That's why it's going to be capital N, C3. And another last simple example that I'm going to show you is bishop to C5. It's going to be this bishop right here, capital B, lowercase c, and then the number 5. As you can see, number 5 is on this rank right here. You'll be able to see that this bishop is the only bishop that can move to C5. So you generally want to look at the square that you're moving to and see where is that piece, which piece can move to that square. Now you might be wondering, how do you record moves if both the rooks are on the same rank or on the same line, and how do you record that move? If I say rook to d1, how do I know which rook is going to move to this particular square? The way that you will write this is, if I want this rook right here to move to d1, I will say rook, capital R, A, because I'm pointing to the rook that's on A, lowercase d1. Again, that's capital R, lowercase a, and then d1. So we know that rook on A moves to d1. That's all the symbol is telling you. And in reverse of that, if I want the rook on H, so I'll move over here. I want it to move to d1, so I'll say capital R, H, lowercase h, and then go lowercase d, and then number 1 for the name of the square. Here is another example if two pieces can land on the same spot, and most likely you'll get this example as well. You'll have the knight. If the knight wants to move to f3, if I just say knight to f3, I'm going to ask myself, which knight am I moving? Am I moving the one on e5, or am I moving the one on d4? If I want a very specific knight to move to f3, I'll say knight on e moves to f3. So I will write it like this: capital N, lowercase e, because I'm showing that it's going to be this vertical column of where the knight is located, and then say f3. I showed you how to record chess moves if both pieces were on the same rank, but I did not show you what it looks like if they are on the same file. It's very similar to recording than before. So what you'll do is, if I want this rook right here to go to h4, this rook right here, I'll say rook, capital R, number 1, because it's on rank 1, and then it moves to h4, lowercase h and 4. And vice versa, if I want this rook right here, I'll say capital R, 8, and then it moves to h4, lowercase h and 4. A pawn is a little bit unique, but it's not that different. We know that the pawn in this position can only move straight, or it can move 2 squares right here. So all we have to do is name the square. At any time, whenever someone just names a square and just says e4 right here, they are simply saying that the pawn right here can move to e4. Anytime you see an algebraic chess notation of just the name of the square, it is a pawn move. We know that only one pawn can move there. For example, this pawn is not going to be able to move to the diagonal squares right here to e4, but we know that only this pawn right here can move to either e3, if we just say e3, or if we say e4. Let's talk about capturing. In order to record a capture move, for example right here, if this rook wants to capture this knight, what we'll do is we'll write capital R, X, F4. You don't have to write the name of the second piece or anything like that. All you have to do is write capital R, X, F4. The way that we notate pawn captures in the game is we want to recognize the pawn, which file they're on, and then we go with X to the square that they're moving to. In this example right here, if this pawn on E wants to capture D5 right here, we'll write down lowercase e because we know that it's on this file right here, lowercase x for capture, and then lowercase d5 to the square that's moving to. That's how you would depict pawn captures in algebraic chess notations. Here's a quick example if you see two pieces on the same row or in the same file trying to capture the same piece. If I just say rook captures e4, we don't know which rook is going to be. So for this example, I'm going to say capital R, lowercase h, lowercase x, and then the square e4. I'm basically saying rook, it's on h, is going to capture the queen on e4. Again, I don't need to write the symbol for queen. All I have to say is rook on h, x e4, and this rook is going to be able to capture it. And vice versa is going to be on this side. If I want this rook to capture this queen, I'm going to say capital R on A at the bottom right here, x e4. In this very similar example, if we have two pawns that can go to the same square, it's very similar to what we talked about in the previous examples about the rook and the knight. What we'll do is we want to recognize or identify the pawn and its file that's on. So therefore, if I want the pawn on F to capture this pawn right here on E6, I'll say F, lowercase f, x for capture, lowercase x, and then E6, lowercase e to 6, for the spot that this pawn is trying to move towards. And this other reverse example would be this pawn right here is lowercase d, lowercase x for capture, and then we go lowercase e6 to the square that is trying to capture. In order to record an algebraic chess notation for a pawn promotion, what you'll have to do right here is if the pawn makes its way to its last rank and you need to notate a promotion, what you can do is write down the name of the square is going to move to. In this case is going to be lowercase d and number 8. And personally for me, I like to use the equal sign to the name of the symbol that they're going to promote to. An example right here is if I want a queen, I'll say lowercase d8, an equal sign, and then I'll put a capital Q for the queen once the pawn has promoted right here in this example. Here's a quick example I'll show you about a capture promotion. In this example, if I want this pawn to capture this rook right here to promote into a knight, I'll just say a knight, we'll say lowercase e, because this pawn's on e, number 7, a lowercase x, and then f8 to the square it's going to, and then you're gonna write equals the capital N for knight. That will be an example of a pawn capture promotion. In the game, if the king is going to castle, you'll have to notate it with an O-O. If it's going to castle on the king side, you're going to go O-O. If it's going to castle on the queen side, you can guess it, it's going to be O-O-O. So then you have 3 O's on the queen side, and then you have 2 O's on the king side. A couple of other symbols that you have to know about algebraic chess notation is if a piece checks the king, you do have to mark that the king has been checked. So therefore, if I say rook over here to e5, I'll write down capital R, lowercase e, and 5. I have to put a plus sign for check. Again, you have to put a plus sign for the check that you are putting on the king. At any point, whenever you do check a king, you need to make sure that that's notated in your chess notations. And here's a quick example for notating a double check. In this example right here, if I say bishop moves to c3, I'll write down capital B, lowercase c, and 3. Then I'll write 2 plus signs right next to it to notate a double check, because both checks are coming from the bishop that will be coming here. So therefore, if it comes here, he'll be checking the king, and if it come here, both this rook and bishop is going to check the king at the same time. And at the end of your game, the way that you notate a win for white is going to be 1-0. If you are going to notate a win for black, it's going to be 0-1. However, if there is a stalemate, what you'll do is you can just go 0.5-0.5 or half-half to indicate a draw. I'm going to show you a crazy example right here. If you happen to have 3 queens on the board, here's how we'll do it, and we'll break it down one at a time. If I simply say queen to d4, I don't know which queen is going to be. It's like, okay, let's talk about what we learned before. If I say queen A to d4, I have 2 options for A. But what happens if I have 2 options for A? You could write down the secondary number that identifies it, which is going to be the number it's going to be on. In this example, if I want this queen to go move over here to this square, I'm going to say queen lowercase a, and then I need to identify 4, and it moves to d4. Another example I have is if two of the queens are on the same rank. If I just say capital Q 1 to D4, both of these queens can move to D4. Therefore, I'm going to say capital Q D lowercase d1 to D4. And just to be able to wrap up all the lessons that we learned about algebraic chess notations, in this example, if I say queen to H8, there's only one queen that can move here. The only queen that can move here is going to be the queen on A1. So therefore, that's how we depict how this algebraic chess notation is going to work. A different example I'm going to give to you, if I say queen to H4, which of these queens can move to H4? This queen right here, only this queen can move all the way to H4. Therefore, I'm not even worried about these queens. But these three queens happen to share the exact same square. Therefore, you need to be able to identify which file or which row they are currently on. If I say queen moves to B1, okay, then we'll only have to worry about these two queens right here. So then which one do we want to move? I want to move the queen on D. So we say capital Q, lowercase d, then to B1. I don't need to write down capital Q, D1, B1 because we only are dealing with both of these queens right here. In reverse of that, I'm going to say capital Q, lowercase a, B1 to depict that this queen right here is going to be the one that's moving to B1. I'm going to show you an in-game example of what it looks like if we want to be able to notate a couple of moves. For example, if I just say lowercase e4 for white right here, then it's going to be this pawn right here to e4. And black responds lowercase e5. He'll go right here and he'll be able to go here. We know that this is the only pawn that can come here. If I say capital N F3, we know that we want to move to F3. That's for a knight. One of these knights is going to be able to move to that square. Only this knight right here can actually move to that square. So we'll just say knight comes right here. Next, if I want for black, capital N C3, then we know that C3 is right here. These two knights, only one of these two knights can go to C3. So we'll just say this knight right here be able to move to C3. We also have now capital B to B5. So we have bishop right here be able to move here. This is the only bishop that can make its way to B5. This bishop right here is stuck and plus is on a different color square. So I'm going to put right here. We're going to move there. Now we have A6. A6 is, we know, is just going to be a pawn move. So therefore it's going to be A6 right there. And I hope this algebraic chess notation is going to help you with your future games. Again, you can read any chess book, any chess magazines, do chess puzzles, and now you know algebraic chess notations. And it's a great way for you to even record your own chess games. If you are new to chess, I would recommend for you to have practice recording chess notations. If you are playing a long game, what it does is it helps you slow down a little bit. It helps you be able to play your moves out, and you'll be able to learn your games over and over by replaying it on the chessboard right in front of you. Just like watching a football tape, watching the replay, get to analyze your blunders and find out what are some great moves your opponent made, or how to really recognize patterns, traps, by having chess notations. So having these games under your belt and be able to record it and kind of keep it as a record is a great way for you to learn your games over time. Again, I hope that this video really helped you out so that way you can improve your future chess games. I appreciate everyone's support. The support has been massive throughout the years, and I am looking forward to making future chess videos. We are going to kind of do a mix of a digital format or a physical chessboard setup. I feel like having a digital format may be able to allow me to produce videos faster and be able to allow you to be able to see what I'm really pointing to. If I'm highlighting certain squares, if I'm trying to talk about this rank or this file right here, it'll be very easy for us to be able to recognize it Again, I look forward to seeing you in other future videos. And for those individuals who have questions about what chess boards do I use to teach, or which chess clocks do I play with, or where do I buy my algebraic chess notation notepads, I have put all those links in the comments down below. You can go and purchase it for yourself, or you can print out chess notation sheets for yourself, or you can write it down in a notebook. However you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. I appreciate your support. Good luck on your chess, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Have a great day.